Music is like this invisible thread through every person and every moment. If the music is right and the vibe is right because of it, the night's gonna be good. People know if it's right and people feel it if it's wrong. I feel really lucky that I get to do this job. Music has been the most important part of my life. It's helped me through a lot of emotional challenges, and being able to make a living with music at the center of my life is kind of a dream. That was always my dream. I remember the first time I took the hearing test in the nurse's office when I was 5. And then I remember I had to go to a hospital where I took a much more complicated hearing test. And they closed the door and it's like silent, you really hear nothing. What I learned through that process was that I had hearing loss in the range of human speech. And if you're not gonna be able to hear anything, that's probably the worst thing to not be able to hear. School and life was a place where I would sometimes miss things, or I would have to sit in the front of the classroom, or I missed the instructions. And as I got older, going to parties or being out was always a struggle, always. I knew I would miss things. I think that I developed kind of like a standoffish, not that warm personality for a long time, because when I would roll into a room with a lot of people, it was really hard for me to be part of a large conversation because I would miss things. And so I just was like, I just won't say anything. I escaped into music because it was like weirdly a place where I could hear everything that was happening. And I think that becoming the DJ at the party gave me like a place where I could bring this experience of my musical knowledge to people without having to deal with that struggle. My hearing is really important to me in every facet of my life. And so I work really hard to protect it so that I can stay in my life. Because if I lose a lot more of my hearing, every part of my life is gonna have to change. You know, I talk to people as a therapist, I talk to people on the radio, I play music as a DJ, like hearing is at the center of my entire life. And so it is really stressful and it's really hard that this is kind of what I struggle with. They say that if you have like loss of vision, it cuts you off from the world, and that's terrible. And they say if you have loss of hearing, it cuts you off from other people. I resisted the idea of getting hearing aids for so long because I was afraid of what other people would think. That they would think I couldn't be a DJ, I couldn't be a musician if I couldn't hear perfectly. And then I became successful at my job. And I was like, oh, as it turns out, I can be a musician and a DJ and on the radio and successful, even with my hearing loss. So I'm gonna not let my fear of what other people think of me determine the type of action I'm gonna take to like take care of my own self. And really, I wanted to show my kid that. I wanted to like be an example that, you know, everybody has something. Whatever you have that's different about you, just like lean into it. And I got hearing aids. And I was like, I could do this in a way where I'm embarrassed about it or whatever, or I could just like rock this and make this my thing.
I miss you missing me like you used to, yeah, like you used to. I miss you kissing me like you used to.
Wearing hearing aids has allowed me to stay closer to people, to my friends, to my clients, especially to my family and my kid. It's a tool that's helped me stay connected. That's a big deal. I decided to take an ASL class because ASL is at the center of deaf culture. And when I started to learn the language and I started to have a window opened into deaf culture, I started to feel lucky that I've gone through this experience because I've seen like an entire community of artists that are incredibly inspiring. And I feel proud of my hearing loss. It makes me feel proud of who I am. And I need to spend more time leaning into that part of my life because all the other parts of my life just highlight it as a loss. Wearing hearing aids and like being proud of being a person who's hard of hearing, identifying as that, is like, that's a ticket into a community that is like thriving and creating incredible art. And that's the coolest thing there is. I mean, belonging is the coolest thing. And if you can belong somewhere because you're different than the norm, then like you win.